Welcome to Rome. This is The Bittersweet Life with Katy and Tiffany Parks. Hello, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katy.
I'm Tiffany Parks.
Tiffany in Rome, Katy in Seattle. And today, a lot of us live with other people. And I'm not just talking about our family or our partners or our animals. I'm talking about the people who live outside of the walls of the home where you are, in the rest of the building you live in. Be you in an apartment building or in a cut-up house that's been turned into like a duplex of some kind. A lot of us hear people through the walls, either above us, below us, beside us, and we always do. We always have. I was telling Tiffany before we started recording that the house I'm living in right now is the very first time in my life, besides when I lived with my parents, of course, growing up, that I have not had to share a house with somebody else, that I don't actually hear other people all the time. But
I'm so jealous.
But of course, in Rome, where everybody lives in apartment buildings, this is not an option. Every single person can hear somebody else at some point in their life.
Well, I will just say that Rome, although most people don't know this, but most people who don't live in Rome don't know this, there are some areas of Rome that are technically within the city limits that are very country. Like it's not like Paris or London where like it's urban sprawl until you get so far away. There's a lot of urban sprawl in Rome too. But there are also like some areas of the outskirts of the city that look like countryside. So there are some single family homes that are not necessarily expensive, but they're just out far enough that, the traffic to get into the city makes the home less valuable, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they're far enough away that the traffic situation is just so god awful that that's what you're giving up to have your own home. So I don't have to walk that far where I live to get to a place where there are single family homes.
Okay, fair enough. But you would say the vast majority of the people in Rome are living in apartment buildings of
Yeah,
some kind, or
for
condo
sure, for
buildings,
sure.
whatever
Yes.
the case may be. Well, so we're going to talk today about communal living and some stories, basically, of what it is to live beside and amongst other people, whether you know them or not. And this idea came up because Tiffany is having a bit of a feud right now with her upstairs neighbor. And
It's a war.
It's a war.
It's a
It's
full-out
turned into
war.
a war now. Oh gosh. It's escalated since we last talked. So why don't you lay the groundwork for us? What's going on?
Well, we have upstairs neighbors. So we're on the second floor. It would be called the third floor if we were in the States. The second floor up of a four-story building, five-story building if we were in the States. And our neighbors to the top, they, I've never liked them. Let's just be honest. I've never liked them. Never. I don't like her. I don't really know. I don't really care about him. Don't really have an opinion either way, but I don't like the wife and and I really can't stand the kids. You can't stand them. And he's usually very, affable.
Yes.
So generally when he doesn't like a kid, there's a reason. There are two girls. Anyway, the point is, we have a piano. As if you
Yes.
listened to this show recently, you know this. We have a piano that we've had since we moved in, but I haven't been playing it that long.
Right.
I've been playing it for maybe a year and a half, I would say. Aurelio's been playing it for a long, long time, but he plays very short amounts of time. Like he maybe plays 15 minutes a day, unless it's a lesson day. And usually it's around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, something like that. So, as you know, I started playing. And as I mentioned on, I think, our New Year's resolution episode, I play often up to an hour a day. And sometimes I'll play in the morning and sometimes I'll play in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Italy, they're very, very strict if you live in a building on when you can make noise. And this isn't just, like playing a musical instrument, but also like if you have like work going on in your house, like if you're using a drill or like pulling up the tiles of your bathroom or something that makes a lot of noise, there are only certain hours of the day you're allowed to do this. They're very, very specific about this, and all Italians know these rules and they're laws, actually, I believe. And like if somebody in the building is drilling at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like that is time, that is part of the silent time for one. So 1 to 4 p.m. is silent time. I know what you're thinking, 1 to 4 p.m. Like that seems like the most natural time that you'd be doing work in your house. But no,
No,
no, in
that's napping
Italy,
time.
that's napping time. Apparently adults need a 3 hour nap in the middle of the day, but I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. But the point is, it's I think 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Except on the weekends when it's 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay.
So I follow these rules. At first, I wasn't very strict about it, but our neighbor from below us complained. And so I started to be very careful. And so I know ever since that happened about 6 months ago, I know I've been very, very careful. And I maybe go over by like 2 minutes or something.
Hmm.
Well, apparently that's not enough. And already our neighbor up on top had complained once when it was the morning of our piano recital. And on a Sunday morning, both Aurelio and I, like, we kind of needed to warm up. We needed to run through our pieces one more time. And so I think at 8:30 we were playing. But I mean, this is the only time it had ever happened. And oh my gosh, you have no idea how many people texted us. How many people wrote on the group chat of of our wing of the building? It was, and most of them didn't know who it was, but
Hmm.
everybody, it was just so, we're like, I'm sorry, you know, and one of them was this mom, and she wrote to me and she said, Sunday morning is the only morning we have to rest. Like, can you please? And I just said, look, I'm sorry. Today's our recital. We never, ever play on Sunday mornings. Like, this is the only time it's ever happened. So I'm sorry. That was why. Anyway, to cut a long story short, the other night, about a week and a half ago, I was putting Aurelia to bed and they were making so much noise upstairs because that's the other thing. They make tons of noise. They make tons of noise.
Yes.
Like they jump. They've got these two little girls. They're 10 and 12 years old. They like jump off the beds. I think they do gymnastics, quite frankly. Like I don't know what they're doing up there, but it sounds like tumbling. It's insane. And when they have friends over, which they have often at night, because like we're early to bed people over here. Like
Hmm.
I really was asleep by 9 o'clock if I can wing it, but sometimes 9:30. And we don't go to bed that much later. But in Italy, people stay up late. And so
Yeah.
they're partying, these little kids, sometimes they'll have like 4 or 5 friends over. And I swear, are they doing karaoke? Are they having a disco party? Are they roller skating in the house? Like, I'm like, what are they doing? And this one particular night, like they just wouldn't shut up. It was ridiculous. The jumping, the screaming, the yelling, the singing. And I was like, Claudia, you gotta write to them. You gotta write to them. You gotta write to them. And he's like, you write. The dad's out of town. So you write to her. And I'm like, okay, you asked for it. And he's like, well, wait. Claudio's very polite, in these kinds of situations. And, Italians are, they always find the best words, and they always use like very careful language in especially
Hmm.
written communications. And he's like, let me write it. And I'm like, come on, if I'm going to write the message from my phone, let me write it how I want it. And he's like, no, 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 no. I know what you're going to write and you're going to be really rude. So he writes it in such a nice way nicer than what I would have written. And sure enough, she writes back and she says, I'm sorry, I'll tell the kids to be quiet. Sure enough, the next day, we get a letter from the building administrator about my piano playing.
Hmm.
So coincidence?
Retribution? Yeah.
Retribution. Yeah, I think it's more retribution. And anyways, he did some digging and it was her and he discovered that it was her and he had a long I mean, I feel bad for Claudio. He was on the phone all afternoon with the building administrator, with our neighbor upstairs, with our downstairs neighbor, with our next door neighbor who's like on our team and like can't stand them. Um and apparently what we're having to do, it's hard to know really where the law stands because the rules are you have to do it within these hours. We're doing that, but apparently it's happened before that people have been sued
Mm.
because if you work from home, you can argue that you have been your work environment has been compromised. if someone is making a certain amount of noise for too much time, and and people have been sued over this and have had to pay like 25, 30,000 euros, which I mean,
Okay. Yeah, you don't want
ridiculous.
that to happen.
Definitely don't want that to happen. And I know this woman, she's the type
Uh-huh.
of person who would do it. She's totally the type of person who would do it. So our particular piano, I bought it used from a friend, and it used to have a system in it. It still does have the system, but doesn't work anymore. That basically you can put it on silent, and you can plug in earphones, and you can listen to like an electronic version of the piano
Mm-hmm.
um, through your earphones if you need to play late at night or what have you, which is a great, but it doesn't work anymore. The problem is when they put the system in order to put the system in, they had to remove or not put in what they call the sordina in Italian. And in English, I don't, I guess the soft pedal is
Mm-hmm.
sort of what it's called. So we do not have a soft pedal
Right.
on the piano. And so we had our piano tuner come out to the house yesterday and take a look. And he gave us a quote for adding a soft pedal, and he gave us a quote for redoing the silent system. The silent system is going to be way too much money, and we don't need it. It's not, I'm not a professional pianist. I don't need to play 5 hours a day, 10 hours a day. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to put in the soft pedal. It's still going to cost us $400.
Yeah. So the letter basically told you what? Like you can't play the piano anymore, or you
The
have to like
letter
turn it
was ba
down?
letter was basically, I read it very quickly on Claudio's phone. It said something like, we have had complaints about piano, that the excessively loud and of long duration piano playing in the building, and it seems that it is coming from your apartment. Um, get in touch with us, and then I didn't read the rest of the message.
Okay.
But so it wasn't like a threat or anything, but it was definitely, a choicely worded letter. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, we just decided that it's not something that we can ignore.
Yeah. And
And
you're not willing to play less than an hour a day.
you know what? I haven't been playing an hour a day lately. I know I was like in like around Christmas time, and I said that and it was true, but I've just been a little bit busier, I think. And I'm probably playing about a half an hour to 40 minutes max a
Okay.
day. And I know that the woman upstairs works from home every day. And well, so do I. But
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm trying to be understanding. I kind of think like my thought is I can't play piano during the quote unquote loud hours of the day, but you can have parties and have your kids jumping off the walls until 11.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem very fair. And my piano teacher's reaction was she was just stunned. She was just like, that people would be bothered by a bit of Chopin. You know what I mean? It's like, um, it's just
That's what I was going to ask you because I mean, does it make you feel an added sort of pressure when because you're practicing? It's not like you're playing flawless Chopin every time you sit
yeah.
down. But to
At
know that
first,
your neighbors can hear you anytime, the moment you put a chord down, they're like, you know, they can hear you
at
through the walls.
yeah. Well, the first day, yes. The very first day after all this happened, I was feeling very self-conscious.
Yeah.
And when I sat down to play, I was just like fuming and feeling self-conscious but after that, I was like, actually it was almost my piano teacher who put it into my head. She's like, "Okay, I'm practicing this thing that is very, very technically difficult." And she's like, "You just need to do it over and over and over and over and over again." And I don't remember what her words were, but she was like, "That'll show your neighbors, like that'll get to them." And now I'm like, "Yeah, that's true. Like if I'm doing something really obnoxious on the piano, it's going to be even more annoying to them." So good.
Unless you don't want to get sued. No, okay. Well,
Well, we are going to put in the soft pedal. So
right.
that's like our and Claudio's kind of like, just wait, Tiffany, just don't do anything. Claudio's a long game type of a person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like a kind of like a flame up, like like
Yeah.
suddenly get angry and like,
Mm-hmm.
he plays the long game. And he's like, just wait, we're going to put in the soft pedal. We're going to play by the rules. And then as soon as we have everything in place, we are going to basically bug the crap out of them. Not in a sense of us bugging them by our playing, but every single time they make noise,
Uh-huh.
every single time they have a party, every single time, their kids are jumping up and down, we're sending them a message. Like every time, every time.
Oh,
And if it's after 8,
yeah.
no, but the other night,
Wait, before
yeah,
you
go.
tell this story,
All right.
we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
We're going to take a quick break. And a reminder for those of you who missed the memo last week, if you want ad-free listening, join us over at patreon.com/the Bittersweet Life podcast. There's a link to it in the show notes. For as little as $3 a month, you can listen to this episode without hearing whatever it is that you're about to hear. And if it seems confusing, just send us a note, bittersweetlifepodcast@gmail.com, and we will help you. But I promise you, it's actually easier than it sounds. And now, we'll take a quick break. And we're back. Tiffany.
I just wanted to add one tiny little thing.
Okay.
So that our listeners understand what kind of people we're dealing with here.
Okay.
So about a week after this whole thing happened, maybe even less, I'm sitting at home one evening. Claudio took Aurelio out to like get a haircut or something. And I'm just sitting around relaxing, reading War and Peace. And I hear this sound. It sounds like wheels going across the floor.
Okay.
The first thing I'm thinking is a vacuum cleaner, right? Sometimes vacuum cleaners have like wheels underneath them and you can kind of hear it. But it went on for way too long to be vacuuming like the same spot. It just felt like it was back and forth in the living room, just like from one side to the other side and I kept listening. I'm like, honestly, if I had to guess, it sounds like a bowling ball. I'm like, Italians don't have bowling balls though. You know what I mean? Like it couldn't be that, but that's what it sounded like. I'm like, they're rolling a bowling ball from one side of the room to the other over and over. And I was like, but of course it can't be that. It can't be that. What could it be? It almost sounds like someone's dragging a suitcase across the room. But again, why would you do that? If you're moving furniture, dragging a suitcase, there's no reason to drag it back and forth for an hour. And I realized, Katie, what it was. One of the girls was roller skating.
Oh, okay.
And I'd never heard that before. But I have seen them roller skating outside. So I know they have roller skates. And I know it was more retribution. It was like, honey, why didn't you put your roller skates on?
Well,
And,
you don't actually know. No, you don't know because it could easily just be she's over there cooking, not paying attention, and daughter's roller skating in the living room.
It's not that big of an apartment.
I know.
It's like, you know what's going on if you're in the kitchen.
I mean,
you know what's happening in the living room.
The tricky element to all of this is that you all own the place that you live. You're not renters. So whatever feud occurs, you could be having for years until one of you moves out.
Which will probably be us.
Frustration.
Claudio's already like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of living like an ant on top of someone else. I want my own space.
Or you need to be on the top. Like you need to get to the top level.
But even if you are, but even if you are on the top, then the people below you will have some reason to complain about you. And the guy below us sometimes, not so much anymore, but he used to complain about Aurelio making noise. Half the time it was the kids above that he could hear through us.
Wow.
He'd write to us and be like, "You're making too much noise," and be like, "We're not home."
Yeah, you're like, we can't help you. Wow, this is an interesting quandary. I mean, if you have listened to the show for a while, you know that often we don't hear it as much because now you record in a different room. But in the past, when you've recorded in the living room, sometimes we can hear the kids like jumping up above you. So this has been an ongoing issue since you moved in, I guess. And now you've added the piano element to the mix. Okay, interesting. So the next step is basically the soft pedal comes in and then we see what happens.
Yeah. Although, I mean, I'm very frustrated thinking that am I always going to have to play with a soft pedal? Like every single time I play, do I have to use a soft pedal?
I mean, you could make a deal with this woman where like, let me know when you're out so I can like bang around.
She did say there were a couple like, and I know it's when she goes and picks up her kids from school and when she drops them off. I mean, it was obvious by the times that she said, which unfortunately I'm also picking up my kid and dropping my kid off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's okay. I don't mind it. Every so often I want to be able to play without it. But, I'm okay with using it for most of the time.
It's funny. I have never had as big of a feud as you have going here. But I think I was telling you, or maybe I was telling Dana, who was on the show last week, that I think I have had it worse in one case, though, because, she's annoyed by you playing the piano, right? Because she doesn't want to hear you trying things over and over and over and over, I assume. Like if you were playing it perfectly, maybe
No,
she
no,
would
she
find
wouldn't
it
care.
relaxing.
No, 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 no.
All right.
No, no.
Well, either way,
Trust me.
I used to live above a guy who his apartment was way smaller than mine. So he basically kind of lived underneath my bedroom. My apartment was not palatial, but his was smaller. And so he kind of lived in the room below my bedroom, and he had lofted his bed. So like my bed and his bed, you
Oh my
you
gosh.
listening can't see. We're like right above each other, right? So when he's sleeping, he's like right below me. He's like right at the ceiling level. And he was a very nice guy, but he loved to sing, and he loved to play the harpsichord. Okay? And let me tell you, Tiffany, he could not do either one of those things. He was a terrible singer. Still to this day, one of the most off-tuned singers I've ever heard in my entire life. And he would like to bellow it, So basically, like you're screaming at the top of your lungs when you're singing. And, and you're using the harpsichord for, I don't know, emphasis? I have no idea.
The harpsichord.
Do you know
See,
the
you just
harpsichord,
did
like where it's like bling?
That's not the harpsichord, honey.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
What is it?
Katie's doing a guitar.
No.
Like she's holding a stringed instrument in her hand,
No,
in
I'm
her
not.
imaginary. A harpsichord is a keyboard instrument.
Hang on.
You play with your fingers.
Harpsichord.
Trust me, a harpsichord is a keyboard.
Okay, so what is it? It's like one of those hand harp things where
Is
you
it
put
a ukulele?
No. It's not a guitar. It's
Okay,
it's like a
lute?
handheld.
It's a lute.
No.
A lute. No, it's not a lute. A lute is like a guitar. It's a lyre. There it is. It's a lyre.
No.
Look up lyre.
Sort of. It's sort of that, but it's not because it's the thing that has like the buttons on it too. Like you can
Is it an
hold...
accordion?
No. One of you knows what this is. It's like a handheld harpsichord. That's what it is. But it's like you're strumming the strings, but you're pushing down buttons to hold things down as if they're keys, like piano keys. I don't know. I used to play with one when I was a kid. I was always told it was a harpsichord. But
When
anyway,
you said
whatever that
harpsichord,
is.
I was like, wow, that's like an odd choice of an instrument to have in such a small apartment because like a piano, it takes up a lot of space.
Well, there is a handheld version or something, or whoever's listening right now, tell us what the heck that is, because it does exist as an instrument. It's kind of triangular. It has buttons, but you strum the strings on it, but you can hold down buttons. I've always thought it was a harpsichord. Anyway, the point is, I had to like just sort of like live with the fact that this guy liked to do that because, what are you going to do?
You write a strongly worded letter, apparently.
Yeah, but he slept 3 inches below my bed. I mean, we could get into a whole thing about like the weird people that live above and below you. I guess we should, but we're almost out of time. But there was another guy that used to live above me in a different apartment building who worked nights. So he slept all day long. And he was a very big, sort of burly, very hairy man who was definitely not the type of guy that you felt like you wanted to mess around with, But he liked me because, generally speaking, I was a college student, so I was often gone during the day. And when I was home, I knew he was sleeping until a certain time, so I tended to keep it quiet until I knew he was getting up and leaving for work. But one day, his water heater in his apartment started to break, and it was flooding into my apartment. And I don't know, he must have given me his phone number because we're before cell phones here. I called the landlord, and the landlord's like, okay, we're going to send someone right over. And I called this guy, or I went up and I don't know what I did. I must have called him. And I said, hey, your water heater's breaking into my apartment. They're sending somebody over immediately. And he told me later that it was a very good thing that I had called and given him a warning. He goes, because I was like so dead asleep at that point. If somebody had turned the key and like just started to come into the apartment, I probably would have shot them because the landlord has a pass key, And I'm like,
Oh my gosh. No, the landlord having a pass key is not what I was expecting you to say. I was going to say because he has a gun.
I know. Well, that was what I was like, good to know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, that's freaky. Just the thought of that, like just like that you could say that so easily.
Yeah. Well,
That-
he's like, I always sleep with a gun next to the bed. And I'm like, why? We live in the most like boring town.
And not only that, it's like the middle of the
It's the
day.
middle of the day. Like, what are you afraid of? You live above a college kid. Like, it's like,
Oh
anywho, I
God,
wouldn't
that is
say,
insane.
yeah. But I mean, we should do a whole other episode about different roommate situations because I mean, I do think it's worth highlighting like the ones that are good too. And I'm not roommate, but like co-living situations.
Yeah, neighbors in your building.
Neighbors in your
Well,
building.
we had a girl living in the building last year for about 9 months or so. And she lived above us, but one over. So she was next to this lady who's above me. She was a renter clearly because she was only here for such a short amount of time. But she was a pianist. And I mean, she was a pianist. She was playing for like hours every day and she was amazing. She was incredible. And my piano teacher when she would because my piano teacher teaches me at my house. She would come up and she was like, "Oh, she's Frank Prokofiev today or whatever." Like she could recognize us and she's like, "Yeah, she's clearly like either a professional or she's a conservatory. Like she's at that level."
Mm-hmm.
Um and I think that they probably made her life miserable or something because eventually moved out, which is such a shame for me because I loved it. I just loved listening to her.
Yeah.
And I just love the sound of music coming from the next room. Whatever, I mean, obviously, classical, I've done classical music, guys, maybe jazz, but not like, I wouldn't want like someone playing heavy
You
metal
don't want a
right
death
next
metal
door.
band playing in
No,
the
no, and
yeah.
I wouldn't want a drummer of any kind, even a classical percussionist next door. But I always wanted to go up and like knock on the door and introduce myself and just tell her like, listen, there's someone in the building who appreciates you,
Yeah.
because I'm sure she was just so abused by everyone. But also, when I was living in Trastevere, I don't know if I ever told you this, in my little apartment on Via San Francisco Aripa, where Aurelio was born. Well, he wasn't born in the apartment, but that's
Yes.
where we were living when he was born.
Yes.
We had an upstairs neighbor who, people, that building, nobody owned anything in that building. It was, the owner was one guy. He owned the whole, the whole building.
Yep.
So everybody was renters and most people were like expats or, coming through students and stuff. And all of a sudden I hear the strains of one of my favorite pieces of classical music of all time, which is Chopin's Ballade Number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something I used to listen to as a child. It's in the movie Impromptu. It is an important piece of music for me.
I'll end with it. How about that?
Yeah, yeah. Have it be outro. And I just thought it's a very hard piece of music. Like you don't just pick it up and play it as like I have sort of picked up this Chopin waltz. Like it's not that level. It's 10 levels beyond or more. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the kind of piece that you study for a year so you can play it at your senior recital
Yeah.
type of a piece. Or type of piece you would play at Carnegie Hall if you were a professional pianist. And I'm like, is that just somebody playing that on their stereo? Because it sounds so real. It sounds live. And finally, I was just listening really carefully. And I finally heard like that he stopped and restarted and, did a couple of phrases over again. I was like, no, there is somebody above me really playing Chopin's Ballade Number 1. So one day with Aurelio on my hip, because he was a baby, I was like, we're going to go find that guy or that person. I didn't know it was a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we walked, and the building was very labyrinthy. Like the apartments were all like in weird places, and like they didn't line up one on top of the other like this building. And finally, we found him, and I knocked, and it was this American retired soldier.
Oh wow.
He was a veteran. He had been in the army for many, many years. He had retired. He was in his 50s. And he's like, yeah, I've always loved to play the piano. It's just, I've played since I was a kid. I do it for my own enjoyment. And I'm living in Italy for a while. I'm studying at John Cabot University and I play in my spare time. And he played for me. I was like, will you play it for me and my son? And he played, and I have like videos of Aurelio watching him. And
That's so cute.
like I loved that. Like I just feel like, okay, I know I don't play like that, and I don't play like that girl who lived in my building for a short time, but still, it's still classical music being played at a decent level. Why are you allowing it to bother you so much?
I don't know. Maybe it's the deeper feud. Like,
Perhaps.
if you loved
And
this woman, do you feel like you'd feel differently? Like if you loved her kids and you'd be like, oh, you know, little Lisa's playing with her roller skates again, you know, or whatever. Like if you loved that girl, maybe you'd be delighted by hearing her on roller skates.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's possible.
It's possible, but would she be delighted to hear me play the piano if she liked me? I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
more
maybe,
that way.
yeah, maybe.
It goes more that way.
I guess we'll
She
never know.
makes- I guess we'll never know, but she does make a ton of noise, and I have only written like once or twice in the entire time, like maybe 3 times total, including the other night. I put up with it. I put up with it, and I don't make a big stink about it. She's the one who's made the stink.
That's true. All right. Well, we're going to leave it there. Feel free to weigh in and let us know what you think Tiffany should do from here. And remember, if you don't want to hear advertisements, you can always join us on patreon.com/the Bittersweet Life podcast for as little as $3 a month. It's a brand new offering. You can get ad-free listening for all of the new episodes. And if you want to go up just a little bit, notch more, $5 a month, then you get bonus episodes too. It's a win-win. And it's an easy process. And we're happy to walk you through it if you need help. All right, well, we'll leave it there. And until next time, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katy Sewell.
I'm Tiffany Parks.
Join us again. Bye.